Well, it kind of worked. Now they can see us. Half of the button functionality worked. It brought the audio live, but it didn't switch the scene. Gonna have to look into that. Anyway, it wouldn't be an episode of a show I'm streaming if there wasn't a tech issue right off the jump. So welcome to this week's Transporter Room 3. We are discussing Season 3 of The Next Generation, Episodes 5, The Bonding, and Episode 6, that Natalie doesn't remember and has to look at. Booby Trap. How could I frickin' forget Booby Trap? Oh my goodness.
They say it so many times, and I am so immature because I
giggled like a child every time. Yes, I did too.
What, a Booby Trap?
Yeah.
Yes. Which anyway, I'm not going to get into that because first I'm going to say hello. I am Natalie, also known as Dark Aardvark. You are on my Twitch channel, so I'm not going to promote you to that. Although, like I said last week and should remember, you might also be on my YouTube channel if I ever follow through on getting these uploaded there. But yeah, you if you're not finding me through Twitter somehow, at @dark_aardvark is the best place to keep up with me and everything I do. And I do not talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation by myself because that's what the Twitter threads there I can speak. Words is hard. The Twitter thread is me talking about it solo. The tweeters. So since Robin just volunteered themselves to start talking next, how about you introduce yourself and where we can find you if you would so like to do.
My name is Robin. You can find me on Twitter at KaikusC. You can usually find me several nights a week, usually Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday afternoons, on Milady Saito's channel, playing a variety of D&D games. However, I feel like the schedule is a little bit inconsistent just for the next week because
I've stolen her from you.
Yeah, along with Hope. She, I think, is going to PAX Unplugged. And then I think there's going to be like a fancy some 10 to 12 days of Christmas, so that probably is going to kick out some of the usual games, but there probably will be games starting pretty consistently for about a week and a half, starting on the 15th or 16th, so I'm sure you'll be able to catch me there at some point.
I can confirm that's the plan because I have signed up to DM a one-shot in that. So
all my favorite GMs on that list are on days where I have other games, and I'm mad. Not that all the GMs aren't good, just
right, but you're like I'm one of your favorites, and although it hasn't started yet, you're in one of my games, and I gotcha.
But as for Star Trek, I usually follow Hope. I realize I'm saying this, so the template has already been laid out for me. Excuse me.
Now I get to say the thing in the template.
Star Trek, I would definitely not say that I am like a huge Trekkie. I have watched, I think, most of TOS over the years, just, in random episodes. I watched TNG with my parents when I was a kid, a little inconsistently, then did a rewatch of the whole thing straight through with my roommate about a year ago. And I've watched the first 5-ish seasons of Voyager, and then one season of Lower Decks. So I don't, as I said, I don't have like a huge wealth of Star Trek knowledge, but I have seen TNG before, and I was excited when Natalie asked me to join just because Natalie is watching Star Trek for the first time, and it's really fun to watch Natalie watch Star Trek.
Well, thank you. Hope, same spiel to you. And now that I know, I'm going to have to keep better track of who I have go first.
I'm Hope. You can find me at HopeTrace71 on Twitter, and normally on Monday nights on Milady Saito's channel, but instead, we've got this whole thing going for the month, so just here. Yeah.
Yep. Did you want to go your Trek history?
Yes. I'm just pausing dramatically because it's very important that you know
it is
that I too watched Next Generation with my family, all crowded onto a couch, all 5 of us. And later on, got back into it a bit with my friend in high school, with whom I attended one Star Trek fan club meeting, a Klingon one. So I'm in the club now. Have been
That seems
for,
fair.
yeah. I know it well enough to get the memes, but I'm really enjoying watching Star Trek again alongside Natalie, who's watching.
I'm enjoying watching it alongside both of you, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, we are here because I watched a cartoon.
Which has suddenly gotten very hard for us to watch because Paramount Plus keeps on dying on us for some weird reason.
I there's a reason why I stopped watching Trek on the I got the Paramount app specifically for Trek, even though I know it's on other things. But the app is unfortunately terrible, and that's why I do not watch it on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, we're like at
anymore.
2-3 Lower Decks, and
I've only seen the first episode of the second season. Partially because I'm waiting to get a little more Trek knowledge before although, it is worth rewatching the episodes.
There is going to be we haven't seen the episode yet, but actually, yeah, I think it's 2-2 has a gigantic TNG reference in it. Like, it's all based around the TNG episode.
That's going to be
plot
delightful.
That happens. So
that'll be delightful. I definitely don't think I'm going to make it through the rest of the 7 seasons before I start watching more Lower Decks again, but we'll see. And like I said, it's worth watching again. But tonight we're talking about our first episode up is The Bonding. This is a pretty dark episode. I mean, there's no joke to make there. It's just a freaking dark episode with some... I don't think this episode... If they made an episode with this plot, I think it would be very different nowadays than what this is. But
I thought it was handled sensitively. It's just that we would handle it differently.
Yeah, there's stuff internal to the story that I don't think would be handled.
I think there's only
way.
there's only like one scene that I think is really like, what were you guys thinking in it? Which I think Natalie mentioned in the tweet thread with the transporter room. Where I feel like they would that's definitely not how they would do that today.
not on this kind of show.
Yeah, not on this kind of show.
Not on Star Trek. Maybe some other sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Or something more geared toward like an adult audience, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like. I mean, I did not like the episode, but it's it's not the worst episode of Star Trek I've seen, but it's one that I wouldn't. I don't think I'll ever revisit on purpose. But I do like some aspects of it. Like we see, we get more Crusher family sort of like backstory and focus, which I like because, I mean, yes, shut up, Wesley, but I'm also a huge Gates, specifically Dr. Crusher, because I couldn't tell you anything else she's been in, but I should look it up. But I do adore Dr. Crusher, so I'm on board for more Crusher family backstory anytime it happens.
One thing I did notice and talked about a little bit with my roommate was that Picard finally brings up something that Natalie has objected to the entire time that we've been watching this, which is, why do they have children on these ships at all?
And I felt so vindicated to see Picard. It was the turbolift scene with Troy. And Picard stops the turbolift. I mean, Troy or Dr. Crusher, I think, are the only two people on the ship that Picard could have this conversation with. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's delightful. I love it when Troy is used well. I mean, I love it when all the characters are used well, but I particularly love it when Troy is being used well.
I just really loved Worf in this episode. Like, if I could love him more,
I think this is the tweet thread where I said Michael Dorn fucking rocks. I think it was this episode, although he is also, I mean, he's great in every episode, yeah. But you felt I felt Worf's guilt over it, and like, Broke my heart when he was talking about how it's an enemy that's been dust for like 1,000 years or whatever, and he can't get like
I can't take revenge on an enemy
Yeah.
that's been dust for over 1,000 years.
yeah. I was like, oh, my heart, you poetic Klingon bastard.
But I was gonna say the thing about having the children on board is and this is something I was talking about with my roommate, is that I half wonder if part of the reason why they did it is just because, like, I weirdly think that they were trying to be in their own odd way progressive, just because like TOS has so much of the like, we're a bunch of mostly single men flying through space. And I feel like they were maybe trying to get away from that a little bit with TNG, which is one of the reasons why they like made it more like families and like had, you know, children on and stuff.
Sure.
But it sort of like they didn't, but like also not really thinking through all of what that would mean.
It took 3 seasons for.
Oh, I mean, I kind of feel like whether or not Jeremy was on the ship, his mother was going to die, and it was just a matter of like how much time it was going to. They could put off telling him.
For sure, yeah. But yes, I absolutely agree. But like on the grander scale, like they were talking about how, because I think in the Turbo Lift scene with Troy, Picard like lays out like, you know, like, we have to repel a Romulan invasion, or like, you know, stuff like we get called to do all this super dangerous stuff. I think there is like, if it was a situation, like if they're more towards the, and here's where some of my knowledge of
well, they were more like the
lack of knowledge.
Cerritos, or like if they were kind of like not supposed to be the first one out everywhere.
Yeah. But like if the
But when you're the flagship.
Yeah, you're the flagship. Like, why are there kids on the flagship if the flagship is? I'm not like a naval person by any means, but I don't understand why the flagship would be put in harm's way all the time. It seems like the flagship is what you bust out for special occasions, but I also don't.
Yeah.
Don't know, but or not bust out for special occasion, but like if it's in danger, it's because, you know, the Borg.
You got through
big deal.
A couple lines of other ships.
Yes, before that one's in danger, but I suppose it also makes sense that if it's the most advanced and like best ship, that you would want that out there doing stuff. But then, why have the kids on board? Yeah, I mean, because even if it's just because like the stated mission, I think that they make a point of reminding on occasion, at least, is that it's an exploration thing, and like
you don't know what's out there.
Yeah, we can debate this all day and all night, but it's not going to get the kids off the damn ship.
Ever again.
And one thing if we ever get there, or for people who have a better memory of this than I do, like I know there's a kid that is born on Voyager, but I don't know if there are any kids just on Voyager when they start at the beginning of the season. And Voyager, I think, is supposed to be like more of a military class ship, and so like it, you know, like it does kind of make me wonder if like maybe not early on in TNG, but later on they kind of like reworked some things, and we're like, maybe we don't have like families on every, like there are certain classes of ship that have families and certain ones that don't. Like military class ships, we don't.
The pointy ones don't have kids on them.
The pointy ones don't have kids. That's delightful. Yeah. I think there's definitely a place in the organization for kids to be on the ship, and I can see it being a benefit, like especially if they're going to be, you know, gone for a long time from any particular planet and stuff. You know, you don't.
Yeah, like I mean, there is a
finding talent,
like a psychological health benefit to like not being cut off from your entire family for
if you're
like
trying to find people
5 years or something like that.
For 5-year-long missions or something. You're really dwindling your pool of potential people.
of young healthy people.
Of young healthy people, if you don't. Although I doubt population is difficult to like. I don't think they would like lose. Humans wouldn't be in danger of going extinct.
Well,
if the
given their society where they're like, this is a utopia, the spacefaring utopia, you've got to make the assumption that if like hard times make people not want to have kids, just being in comfort and being financially secure might make people like, oh, just as soon as I can, I'm going to start.
Yeah, that's true.
But you don't have, I mean, especially if it's not a hindrance.
Yeah.
To your career.
Yeah.
For sure.
Anyway, sorry, that was kind of a tangent I introduced,
that's
but
what
it was one of the things that I...
The show is built on tangents. If you take the tangents away, it collapses. I love the scene. I do want to call out particularly the scene with Troy and Worf. In this one, I thought it was really well done, where we're seeing like Worf is pacing back and forth like a caged animal and feeling trapped, and we're shooting through grating, so we're kind of seeing him in a cage too as he's pacing and feeling trapped and like he can't do anything. This might be the scene where he has the line about not being able to get revenge on
I think so.
Yeah. And then after Troy kind of doesn't like necessarily resolve the issue for him, but gets through to him enough that he can kind of see he isn't trapped, then we lose that framing of shooting through the sci-fi grading in that cage thing, and that's just chef's kiss. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point it out. O'Brien is pretty fantastic in this one too. Like he just pops up real quick, and he's like, "The fuck?" Like, I don't know. You had something, Hope?
One of the things that I appreciated about them with Jeremy was pointing out that he was angry, like because it's not something you're supposed to feel. Especially as a child, how dare you,
Yeah.
And I mean, some of that was to like make the bridge between him and Worf more plausible, but like it's for real.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And I like
specifically mad at his mom.
Yeah.
I mean, and I thought that was a good framing a good like both Worf and then kind of bookending is the wrong word, but also like with Wesley at the end, right? Like, like I thought it was good to see that like at all stages, like loss and like even if it's like even from different relationships, like is something that like anger is okay to feel in that moment. I thought I liked and so like having Worf be angry, I feel like like also lended to like the credibility of like Jeremy's own emotion, like not that they weren't credible anyway, but you know what I mean, like it was like adults have these feelings too, like
for sure,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that is done very well in this episode.
One other thing that I kind of liked, which is maybe a minor thing, but I liked, is that they didn't try to like do a thing where like at first Jeremy's the only one who sees his mother. Like I like that right from the beginning there was no doubt about the fact that someone claiming to be his mother was there. Like I like that they didn't try and like be like, oh Jeremy, you're just having feelings of blah blah. You know what I mean? Like
I hadn't considered that, but I totally agree with you. Definitely preferable that there wasn't a stretch of time where people didn't believe him, and made it more creepy too, I think, actually.
She was so upfront about it.
Yeah. Like the swagger of like, what are you guys gonna do?
There's so much swagger.
I know I'm super outnumbered, but the kid thinks I'm his mom, and so. Well, I guess it took him a while. It's like the kid didn't see her and like immediately just be like, "You're my mom."
He enjoyed the idea for a bit before he agreed to it.
Yes. And I do like that they showed, his life on Earth and what he had, and then like it gave us like, so when the room appeared and the cat appeared, we understood and knew intrinsically that like what alien energy being, I guess would be a way to put it. What the
Yeah,
energy being
and
was up to.
and on a lighter note, like they actually got it right about the future in this one with like him holding the tablet watching videos.
Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah,
I hadn't
that's
thought of
true.
that. Yeah, it's so ubiquitous. I hadn't even like connected that. Like they did
Yeah.
nail it for sure.
I was just watching this like this looks like
Yeah.
2020.
No, it was so normal. I didn't even clock it. That's a good call.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about it either.
Yeah, I mean that kind of does it for this episode. A little heavy-handed, really dark. I don't think a dark Star Trek episode is necessarily bad, but the
last
it
thing
was
I
dark
think
for the
just-
wrong reasons. Go ahead.
that I just wanted to say was that because it was something that you said in your tweet thread, but I just wanted to point out again that like this is in some weird ways like I feel like Wesley's best episode just because he actually seems like
Yeah.
a teenager.
He seems like
in
a
it.
teenage kid in it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like the
Like his uncertainty felt real.
Yeah,
yes.
his uncertainty and the fact that like
He wasn't going like he wasn't like assuming what he was doing was more important than it was. Like it was literally just like honest feelings of
Yeah.
hesitation at like.
And maybe I'm projecting too, but I think he was also a little worried about making things worse.
Yeah.
Like for the kid because he does have so much empathy for it. I'm glad you mentioned that because it is. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it's the best Wesley I've seen so far in Star Trek. I can't think of. There might be other moments that come close, although I kind of doubt it. I guess the time with him and Picard in the shuttle. That mission where they had the road trip thing. Rivals,
Yeah.
but it doesn't surpass. Anyway, yeah, no. And I mean, I like Will Wheaton.
I like Will Wheaton. But
yeah. Anyway, well, there's going to be plenty of Wesley bashing in the future, so I'm not. I'm sure.
Here, take this
don't-
hesitantly offered
Yeah.
praise. I might snatch it back.
Yeah. Enjoy. No, I don't. Will, if you happen to ever see this, you're delightful. I loved watching you play board games. Not your fault. Anyway, the episode I can't believe I forgot the name of, Booby Trap.
Booby Trap.
Was our second one on the menu this week. I was super excited when I started typing the first tweet about how Geordi's on a date, and then it started creeping into my brain that I'm told he's often not the best with women.
Yeah, this episode I feel like showcases some of that
A little bit. I mean,
yeah, and I don't.
Not all of it. Not all of his. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say like, as much as I love LeVar Burton, like there is part of me which just sort of feels like that he doesn't do flirty well as an actor. Like
definitely not in this role.
Yeah,
I
don't know. That's just, but like I just sort of feel like I don't know, things that should be flirty come off as kind of weird and creepy to me.
Yeah. I don't. I'm actually aside from stuff where he's playing himself like Reading Rainbow. I'm really not that familiar with his body of work.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I know
part
I've
of my
seen
problem,
scenes
too.
from Roots and stuff, but I actually don't know if I've watched the whole thing. I should watch the whole thing. Anyway, I do. It is also delightful though that they're drinking Coco Nono on the beach, which I don't know is a real drink or not. But in an episode titled "Booby Trap," like. Come on, that's delightful. I need to find out if Coco Nono's a real drink. Anyway, sourcing coconuts is going to be the hard part. And he summons the violin player, and that violin player was making the most out of this appearance. Frickin' possible.
True.
Leaning over into her face to play the violin like
Yeah, no, and it's just like and I'm not blaming the hologram violin player, but I'm just like, oh, Geordi, too much.
Yeah,
way,
exactly.
way too much.
I wasn't like, oh, the actor went too far. I was like, Geordi, learn how to program your violin players.
But also like is a violin player what you want on this like secluded beach while you're, like it just seems like no, I don't.
I think. I mean, I agree with you, but I think that was intentional as to like hinting at like yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so too. But it was just like, oh,
yeah.
Good Lord.
I do have the tweet that I'm more proud of than I should be, which is a lot of my tweets. But Jordy's got 99 problems and a disastrous date on the beach is one. Yeah. Yeah.
That was quite a sigh.
I live off those sighs. I really, really do. Another thing I really wanted, but out of this episode, was I really wanted one of those like, are they asteroids if they're not moving, or I don't know. Anyway, one of the big old space rocks out there. I wanted to see like at least
they're
one.
They're specifically asteroids if they're not moving.
Oh, okay.
Is that how?
And then they're meteors if they are moving.
If they're moving,
I'm guessing.
They're meteors as they get into the atmosphere.
Oh, that makes sense.
Meteors are terrestrial asteroids.
Any hoozle. I wish one of the big old space rocks would have bounced off the shields. I thought that would have been cool. Obviously, it would have been pretty difficult.
How were they staying there still? Like
that's what I was wondering.
Was so orderly.
If there would have been an explosion, because they make it seem like it was an explosion that caused this, and there's no air resistance in space, so all those things would still be moving if they hadn't hit anything. You know?
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
But maybe it should have been the first sign that there was a trap.
It's true.
I don't. This was one of those where I'm surprised that you didn't say anything, because this really bugged me that they boarded this ship. I'm like, wait, but you Picard knows the history of this war.
I mean,
and the fact that there was an entire intact ship, and he's like, I'm sure it's fine. It's like, no, it's not. There has to be something wrong here.
I've tried to back off of. I did have that twinge, but I've tried to back in, because it's going to be every episode. I'm going to have something in every episode to complain about in that vein.
This episode felt particularly pulp novel to me.
Yes.
And I think it was the scene outside the window of the perfectly still asteroids. Like that, there weren't any collisions. They were all moving exactly the same at the same, like there were no changes or collisions.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like a novel. Then it just continued to feel like I was reading something where the pages were just like going yellow a little faster than they should,
Yeah. That makes sense. I love that explanation of a pulp novel.
Yeah, I like that too.
But on the sort of the topic here, I hand waved away Picard going on there because he seemed like a big old kid. Like it was like the best analogy I could think of would be like a classic car guy, like coming across some sort of fancy. Yeah,
it's true. It would be like Val helping a puppy that's in the middle of the road, and we know it's a trap, but Val's still gonna go after that puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. I love, and I also love how much like Picard assumes other people built ships in a ball. Like he just thinks it's like a standard kid activity.
It's a thing that
I
English
think of like
chums do.
Yeah, I think of like old people, and I'm gonna turn 41 next month, so I pretty much throw myself in that category too. But I think of it as like an old person.
Don't you dare.
Well, yeah, only because you're older. I self-identify as old, Robin. You do not have to. Yeah, but I loved the business with O'Brien's like, yeah, I built them, and then after everybody leaves, Riker like gives him like a little look, and he's like, I did.
I just like Worf's. I do not play with toys.
Yes.
I find it hard to believe, but okay.
Worf. Yeah, I do too. I find that.
I'm sure he played with toys, but it was probably like a
sharp one.
Sharp ones. He was playing lawn darts.
It was sport.
But,
Sporting.
Sport.
but again, I don't know if this quite qualifies or not, Hope, but I remember like a while back you were wondering about like crafting, like
Yes.
handcrafting, and like
Apparently only building ships.
apparently
That's
building
all that's
ships and
allowed.
bottles is something that survives as the
Building ships and bottles and building ships outside of bottles.
oh yeah, because
Well,
we
yeah.
had the ship, yeah.
Those
Which
are
is very
those
cool
are,
to
if
see.
it's not made of balsa wood, they're not allowed.
Before we move on to that, though, because that is a big chunk of this episode, I do want to say that Guinan likes bald men.
Yes.
And I'm glad I'm not the only one that overshares.
All I can say is the first thing I thought of was of course she does, because this was like the Michael Jordan era with his bald shiny
True.
head.
I hadn't thought of that. That's very true. And I also thought it was like a little bit of like,
Picard.
yeah, her saying like the captain's sexy as hell, which she would be correct.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, it's subjective, but it's also true. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't. Just two more things I got to mention, and then we can talk, get back into the meat. But Troy's teal dress is back, and it has matching boots, and I want them badly, all of it. I want to cosplay, just in regular life. Cosplay that teal dress and the boots, because I freaking love it.
It's got to be out there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And also
seems like
there's got to be. Well, it's easy. It's like it's a classic enough style that I could probably even just like, find one somewhere. Because I find something close enough somewhere. And the other thing I want to mark before we get into the meat of this episode, because I love it, because it's the first inside joke that I connected with Lower Decks, is Worf says sensors, and
sensors. I think it's the second time he said it too, at least.
Yeah, because it
At
was in a
least a
tweet
second.
last time.
Yeah.
And
Gotta bring that range down just a little bit,
Yeah.
and the pause helps.
I just always think of the Mike. I can't even remember what it's from, but the Mike Myers. I remember Mike Myers saying it. Maybe it was somebody else, but you put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes,
I don't remember what that's from, but I remember that line.
Yeah, I remember that line.
What it's from either.
Anyway, so yeah, the meat of it, I really liked. I really like Leah as a character. I thought she was fantastic. I love her little Space Gibson girl hairdo.
The real Leah comes back in a future episode.
Say what? Like she's gotta be super old.
No, because
No, she was contemporary.
Yeah, she's contemporary.
Oh, that's right. This is I forget.
Yeah, because the Enterprise.
I forget the
really
Enterprise
new.
is a new ship. Yeah. This version, it's not the same one. It's not a refitted.
Right. They just keep.
Yeah.
They put the name on another.
They put the name on
the
after they
newest
retired
model.
that one. I keep forgetting that. Okay, so that makes sense,
Mhm.
and that's great. I also hope you had the insight that she was probably like as close to Kirstie Alley as they could get.
Yeah.
And
But Kirstie Alley already played like a Romulan or something.
Yeah.
on
As
one
soon
of the
as
movies.
you,
That's right.
as soon as you said that, I was like, I see. I absolutely saw that. She's
Yeah.
very much
Oh,
like
yeah.
that sort
Oh, it
of.
was very big in '89. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the comment that because there was a comment. There was like one of the tweets, and I had two comments, and for some reason my app would not load the other comment, and I think that was what it was.
Maybe.
That was Kirstie Alley.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wasn't it like that was around the time that oh God, what is it? Baby Talk?
Look who's
Oh,
talking.
Look who's talking.
Yeah.
Look who's talking. Like around '89.
I didn't realize she had already been in Star Trek at this. I knew she was, but I didn't realize it had already happened at this point.
Yeah, original series movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense. She was absolutely a big enough star, and I know a huge Star Trek fan. Also, kind of a terrible person.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm not
But-
saying that like
No,
I'm
no,
excited to see
yeah,
somebody who looks like
no.
Kirstie Alley. I'm just saying that that's what they were aiming for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, and
no,
you're
that
yeah,
makes a lot
no,
of
you're
sense.
correct.
But yeah, she shows up in person.
Well, that's good.
later
I'm
on.
looking forward to it. I thought she was fantastic. Like,
Yeah, no, she I think was one of the better parts of the episode, just in terms of
For sure.
I like the actress.
Go ahead. You sounded like you had more, and I started.
I
to
was
cut you
gonna
off.
say, switching gears slightly though, like speaking of SOP, like they're like when they go onto the ship and Picard spins that chair around with the
Yes.
skeleton in the chair, and it's like, you have to know something is up now, because just skeletons aren't just hanging around after 1,000 years. Like, get out of there, man.
There's that, and then I also love, like, he's so reverent to everything, and like it just in general, not necessarily on the ship, but Picard is, and like the history of things, and then he just like nonchalantly spins that chair around with a human corpse in it, yeah, or not human, but like a corpse in it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, man. I was also kind of confused as to why he was so excited and why he wasn't familiar with the bridge until I heard the line about how humans were still fighting wars with crossbows when the ship was in service. Because for some reason I thought, well, I mean, I'm a rounding error, I guess would be the funny way to put it, because I was like, well, this is like 2400 or something, and then I subtracting 1,000 years, I got 2300, and I was like, wait, and then I realized 1,000 years has 3 zeros in it. And it would mean we were talking like the 1400s.
Yeah.
And it all clicked with me. So, you know.
I mean,
happens.
technically, at any time in the future, you could still be fighting wars with crossbows if you really wanted to.
True. Or really had to.
The other
the
side
zombie
might not have
apocalypse.
crossbows.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if comic books have taught us nothing, it's that we can make outmoded technology still useful somehow for
True.
no reason.
Just order my VHS
cool.
series.
Because it looks cool, yeah, exactly.
Just order my VHS series on outdated things that look cool. VHS doesn't look cool except for like the glitches and stuff sometimes, I guess. Anyway, I'd like, if it would have been tackled better, I would like the through line, especially after the talk with Guinan, who Guinan tells or points out to Geordi that he tries too hard and that he should just try to be himself. I would really like that through line coming from that beach scene with the very active violin player to him in his comfort zone, in his element, connecting with a woman in a natural way. If it just would have been done better. I don't necessarily have any constructive criticism to help the situation out. Just, it needs to be better. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels really like incel adjacent, or like, you know, I was just expecting Geordi to start talking about how like Worf gets all the ladies because he's a total Chad or something. You know, we were like just a little bit away from. I felt like we weren't that far away. You know, you wouldn't need warp speed to get there from where we were at.
I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. Because even when he was talking to Guinan, there was something about that, like, I know how to field strip a generator, and I'm like, this is not the language I need around what you're about to what you're about to say, you know. Like, I'm
really good at my job. Why doesn't that make the panties drop? Like, oh my god, dude.
And I think part of it also is, and I shouldn't say this because I don't know if it would have helped or hurt, but there's something like, I think there's something also about Geordi where I just sort of feel like you're a little too old to complain about this in this way, I guess.
Yes.
Like, and maybe that's fair, not fair, I don't know. But like, if it was even like Wesley, I would be like, oh, you are.
I would be like, oh, you need to grow up.
Teenager, but also like, you know.
It's kind of but you're also a teenager. But yeah, Geordi, like, especially, I don't know how. I'm sure we have some idea, but I'm guessing like late 20s, probably more early 30s for Geordie.
Probably it should be early 30s, given
Yeah.
the estimates they give for career track.
Yeah. So yeah, to Robin's point, that's definitely too old
Hmm.
to have those sorts of
Like,
things.
yeah,
Got you nothing else.
I feel like at his age he should have had at least one failed relationship.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
And
like
it also seems kind of weird too that we're this far into the series and just
Well,
I don't know.
and if nothing else, it seems like he should have had this talk with somebody already.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess, you know, like,
That makes sense.
you know, and it's possible that he did and it didn't take, but I don't know. It's just somehow there's something about it which feels like, what? You know, like it's like, dude.
Wait, you mean women are people too? Like,
I feel like
yeah.
they had that to drop on somebody, and they didn't want to do it again so soon as Wesley.
Yeah, that
So
makes
they're
sense.
like,
Could
oh,
be.
who else is a young-looking man?
That's true. You know,
But I don't think Jordy was the right choice for that because
No,
he
I
is too
don't
old and confident, like in a lot of different ways.
I mean, everybody that's an officer, I feel, is too old
yeah,
for it, and we
Yeah.
don't know any kids other than Wesley.
and
well
he was
enough.
getting along just fine with that ensign that you liked.
Yeah, with Gomez. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
So yeah, I still remember.
I
Yeah.
I actually thought for a moment that's who that was on the beach.
That
then it
Oh,
was just this weird, like, are they doing this? Are they? And they weren't, but
Yeah.
still, like, he was getting along just fine with her. Why all of a sudden is he awkward?
I don't know. I mean, he wasn't romantically interested in her. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an excellent point. So I do like the conceit of. I do like how Leah comes into being in this episode. Obviously, she's a real person who was I presume arrived into reality on the standard means. But I like how she was brought in this episode. It kind of like built from the like Geordie didn't just like jump to it. Like it sort of came about organically.
Mhm.
And I liked that they started off like with the holodeck program, even though I was a little bit like, okay, you're the head engineer and you know better than probably anybody what the power issues are. Like I get like it's perhaps your only chance, so it's like worth doing, but like how petulant he was about like the computer shutting it off. Like, you're the head engineer, dude. Like, you know the situation. This should not be a surprise to you. You should have had, like, aside from just the general timeline of the shields going down and stuff, on top of that, you should have been like, I need to utilize this holodeck thing as little as possible. And I feel like, I mean, I know why. Partially they wanted to, well, it builds tension for the episode and creates a third act conflict and stuff. But it just seems like he could have also, like, you couldn't have her on your freaking Amazon Alexa in the engineering bay, like, still talking to you and working out the problems. Like, why's it got to be the whole effing holodeck, bud? Like,
Eccentric genius.
yeah, sure.
Like, they just like painted him with all kinds of things this episode.
Yeah, they really
They did.
did. Yeah.
Just like trying things out. Like,
Yeah.
what can we make stick?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's a good way of like a
Yeah, we need to
it does
develop
sort of
this
feel like
character
they were
more. I don't know
trying-
what.
Yeah, they were trying to, like, we've got to grow this character somehow, or like we need a character that needs to follow, like, as you were saying, Hope, like, we need to dump this sort of story on somebody. So let's try Geordie.
Yeah. He's not doing anything aside from saving the ship. It's fine.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, I'm all about there being more character.
Well, and I think one of the
development.
fun things about not necessarily from like a relationship, but just like from a pairing standpoint of Gomez and Jordy is that Jordy's pretty positive, so it was kind of fun to see him like out positived by somebody. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of part of the fun dynamic between the two of them, I
For
feel
sure.
like.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they were peas in a pod, like the peas in a pod sort. Because opposites attract. True. MC Scat Cat's wisdom shines through the decades. But there's also something to be said for like the the more pea in the pod harmonious
Yeah.
sort of coupling too, and they would have been fantastic for that. I did like when they were having the I didn't like it at first, but I came around to it where they were like arguing back and forth. It just kind of seemed to come out of nowhere to me personally. Like I think we came back from commercial break and they were either commercial break or some other part of the ship, and suddenly they were like, I mean, having a disagreement would be the better way to put it. They weren't like fighting. Things were getting heated though.
It just felt such a clumsy way to try and introduce that like argument, romantic to romantic tension thing, and I agree, I did not.
Yeah, I mean, it grew on me as I saw more of them interacting.
It just got weird.
But it got weird. It got real weird.
When she's rubbing his shoulders, I'm just like,
yes, that's not
workplace
weird,
appropriate.
Man. Yeah,
like seriously.
Also,
you just met him, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm a little upset that they go through the pains of mentioning that there's going to be a 9.6 or something % deviation of her reactions from reality, which first of all, if you know that, why is there a deviation? Because you clearly know the normal baseline. Anyway, I just lost my oh yeah, I'm disappointed that didn't come back at all and like be a concern. Like was her plan to have her do the thing like a deviation, and that's why it wasn't working, and Jordy had to come in with like the human
I see, like at that part
factor. Yeah, or I don't know, Robin, seems like you would know at least, if not Hope too, but like is the real Leah, like obviously their relationship would have to start from scratch because the real Leah won't have the memories of the holodeck Leah, but
like the real Leah
maybe the real Leah is a lesbian, and like the 9% is that she likes chicks. Like
that's the quantifying of Lissa.
91% of you is all the other stuff. That 9% is your sexuality, and that's what we're missing from Leah. Like, who knows? Like there was so much. Like they made a point to mention it and then do nothing with it. And that was
the computer crept in a little bit at the end.
That's true.
In a sort of like subtle way, but it was almost creepy. Like
it was
just sinister. A little sinister.
Yeah, it was a little sinister.
I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Jordy.
It felt a little bit like the end of the first Star Trek movie with what's his face and V'ger when they. It's like, wait, are we heading in? What direction are we heading in here? Exactly.
I did like seeing this version of the Enterprise in dry dock being built, though. That was cool. Even though we didn't get like we got a good view of the room where they were like overlooking on it, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You had something, Robin? Sorry, I was cutting.
I was just gonna say, they're definitely, when the real Leah shows up, is definitely not into.
That's funny. I feel bad for Jordy, even though he is incel adjacent in this episode. I mean, some of that's also just the 80s, like which doesn't excuse it or make it okay, but it's the reason, not the excuse. I loved Picard. Not only did I love Picard sitting down at the council and like piloting the ship. I'm a sucker for that shit. Like, he was thinking, it's not that he necessarily didn't have faith in Wesley to do it, just if anything went wrong, he wanted it to be his fault.
Yeah.
And I respect the shit out of that kind of leadership. I love it.
I mean, that's part of it, but I mean, also, I do think Picard was like, I'm going to do this awesome thing to steer us out of here.
I mean,
Yeah,
sure,
that
I'm
was-
sure
that
that
was
came
him
into
the
it a
whole-
little bit. Yeah.
I'm gonna see the old ship. I'm gonna steer this ship. I'm gonna be the hero, and that's me.
Alternate title for this was Picard's
Well,
midlife crisis. He's got the.
I mean, a little bit, because like it was sort of like one of the things my roommate and I talked about, that like was sort of like, it was sort of weird how like everybody's like, have the computer steer, like it just seemed like, really
The computer steers it all the damn time.
It,
Yeah,
it was a little
exactly,
bit like the lady doth protest too much.
It just
A
felt
bit.
like, really, in 23, like
Yeah.
this is not something that
You ask the
We're
computer
letting our
to do
cars
things for
drive
you all the
themselves.
time. Yeah.
Not well, but they do it. They do it.
And you ask the computers to do things all the time. Like, I don't
Make
know.
you
Yeah.
food that you eat.
Yeah.
so it
Keep the air the way you like it.
Yeah.
it did just have such a weird, like, it was like, why is this such a like, because it wasn't so much like even like that it seemed like, you know, they weren't sure if the computer could do it. It really did seem to be like a more like existential, like, the computer steer the ship, like, what
Yes.
what
Yeah.
And it did have a little bit of air of Picard and Riker, like being emasculated, like on some level they did
Yeah.
have a little
No,
bit of that,
for
like,
sure.
air to them, like, but we steer the ship.
We have a barely qualified child running the controls, and you want us to put a damn computer in charge?
Unless
You're out of
the
your
most
mind.
sophisticated computer in Starfleet in charge of it.
God. And this was not that far. Like everyone was pretty much aware that like we let spaceships fly with like punch cards in them. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a trip when you learn that for the first time.
Yeah.
Goodness.
But yeah, no, yeah, it was such a like weird that it was such a tension point. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
like I get like, you know, if they like truly just didn't believe that the ship could do it, but like it didn't seem like that was. It seemed like there was more to it than that. And
I
that was,
agree.
like,
Yeah. No, I
what-
think you're spot on.
um,
Just the other thing I really liked about the thing inside of Picard sitting down to do the controls is we actually got an inset shots of the controls
Mhm.
and him pressing the buttons, and I have an art school
Does he press
degree
them like Data presses
and
them?
love. I don't think so. We never really get I guess we do get insert shots of Data pressing the buttons. I think Brent does a really good job of like.
Oh, that
them
was
like
actually
an
one of the
android
jokes
would do.
in that movie about fandom, about Star Trek fandom. It starts at a convention and they wind up in
I
an
know
actual
exactly what
real
you're talking
ship.
about. I've watched it.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're actually like the people are steering. They're actually like using the real consoles by like the motions they used to make.
Yeah,
Driving it.
which is
Like they don't know what
That's
they're
a
doing,
really
but they're
good
gonna do
movie.
it
I need to watch that movie again.
because the ship was based on their movements.
Yeah,
in-
based on everything they did. Oh,
Yep.
That's good. I forgot about that. That's great.
Also, the other thing that I don't know. Sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but I feel like we're pretty much at the end. Is I do love that like they've got this 1,000-year-old find that they're really excited about, and they're like, let's not put some warning buoys out here until we can figure out how to access the ship.
Yeah,
Let's
blow
just
it the fuck
blow it up.
Yeah, that struck me too. And also, I wasn't aware that the booby trap was on the ship. Like,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
I don't think it.
Well, why'd they have
was.
to
I think
destroy the ship then?
because I think they just didn't want anything there that anybody would want to go.
Oh,
look.
so they wouldn't be enticed to go get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
But that
Yeah.
still seems like, again, like, but
Yeah.
Tow
what
it
if
with you?
tow it
Yeah.
with you, or like, since you're on the outside of this ring, can't you then like, blow up the generators? You know, like
Yeah,
at this
something.
point, like from the outside. I don't
For
know.
sure. Yeah, especially with how much, like, you know, when they first got on that ship, and I was mad at Geordi for being too which is unfair to do. But for being, I mean, it wasn't that he was too sad and that's why he wasn't on the mission, but I was mad Geordi wasn't there because, if Geordi was there, bless Data, Data, he's, he obviously is skilled enough to do it, but Geordi always does that stuff. So
no,
just because he had
person.
just because he had a bad date, I don't know.
Doesn't mean he shouldn't be on the away party.
It's true. If one bad date's gonna spiral him that much, although I get the feeling it was more of a succession of dates, which also his whole dating pool is the ship. There's gonna come a time where
people are gonna find out that he's bad at dates.
Well, that too,
and they're not gonna want to date him.
Yeah.
So, because
good luck with that, man.
The size of a slack, right? Like a small little arts college, your kind of campus situation you got going on.
Oh goodness. Oh gosh, I haven't been looking at. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything else to bring up about these 2 episodes. Does anybody else want to bring up something we haven't mentioned yet?
Not really.
No, I think we're good. All right.
I enjoyed these.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I enjoyed these overall. I actually kind of liked the trap they were in. It wasn't a super complicated one, but it was still kind of a fun one.
It was
a booby trap.
The booby trap.
It was a booby trap, for sure.
And I thought, the first episode, seemed like it was, it was a more intense episode, but I feel like they actually handled it much better than.
Yeah, I don't think either episode was bad. I'm just,
Yeah, and I'm happy that I mean, there are other episodes of Geordi's dating life, but I feel like they are not. They're fairly infrequent, which is something that makes me happy.
One thing I do want to note real fast is Geordi drops a frickin' slur.
Oh yeah.
At the end of this one against the Roma people, which I won't.
Yeah.
I think that should give everybody enough idea of what it is. I don't need to say it.
Well,
I noted it at the time, but then when you said that, I'm like, I can't remember which one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so cringy now.
It
We
is.
know we're not supposed to say it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was working in home shopping, and one of the hosts on air used the somebody is not doing square dealings version of the slur, and I immediately got a headset. I was like, they can't use that word. Tell them to not use that word anymore, please.
Right.
Holy shit. Any hoozles. That'll do it for us this week. We are at 59 minutes and 45 seconds, so I will just go ahead and bring us out of here. Thank you for joining us this week. I'm pretty sure we'll be back next week because it shouldn't interfere with PAX U being on Tuesday nights.
No.
Excellent.
Home Sunday.
So Hope, who is going to PAX U, if you're going to PAX U and you, I don't want to tell people to come up. You might see Hope at PAX U if you're going, and a bunch of other cool people that I like a lot will be there, and hopefully in the future I will be meeting them at one then. But you can follow Hope Tracy and potentially see anything that he posts about being at PAX U on Twitter at Hope Tracy 71. And joining me in not going to PAX U this year is Robin, and you can watch them post about not being at PAX U on Twitter at Kaikasi.
All right, I'll do that then.
Sitting not waiting in line for a panel, sitting in my living room. Anyway, and I am Natalie, and you can also find out what I'm doing not at PAX U this week at @dark_aardvark. That's what happens when I try to wing things. But anyway, we'll hopefully see you next week.
Should I apologize?
I
No.
feel like I need to.
Yeah, I don't think.
So I think you're fine. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it offline. Anyway, until then, bye-bye.